get in the way.
And it's like a thumbprint every time.
How you
project
as far as parenting,
completely
right? As far as parenting your sons and your daughters, like
you never know.
What is that message? I know your kids are a little older.
Sometimes projects seem blessed, and sometimes
like how do you
could
sit
say
down? I know for me, I'm having a hard time sitting down.
Downey
with my
Esquire
son
was
at
talking
13
about this
years
yesterday.
old,
She goes, "It's
who's
the
right
only
in the
thing
he's in the
you
mix,
can't overcome
right? He's in the
as a
mix of
creative producer,
kind of what everything
movie,
is, and just that age
is.
in America as a young black male.
In principle, no matter what happens, you can fix it.
What are you telling
Lost the light,
the
the thunder, the weather came in. Okay, he got sick. Oh, she's pregnant. Okay, great.
I mean, I think that first of all, they have to understand that this is not a problem.
Yeah, the relationships that people have with each other.
This is not a problem.
Meet up before you commit to a role.
This
do you ever
was
say,
like
I want to
they
meet
got
Captain
here,
America,
like it's
find out
before
what
I got here. We just have to find the best way to deal
By the
with
way,
it and remain.
I mean, I'd love that you think I'd have the authority. Did you cast this guy? All right, let me get a taste of him. I'll tell you if he can stick
I
around.
think the best way to do that
but
is
we
to
all have a group
remove
there or
emotion.
something like that.
And that's very difficult.
My MO is
To remove
always
emotion from the
let's
surface
mind
things.
melt.
Even
Let's get
even though you
together.
know
Let's work
this
together.
policeman
Let's spend
is
time
dealing with you
because
in an egregious manner that you don't deserve, even though they're accusing you of doing something you know you didn't do, even though you know they're treating you like a person that you know you aren't. You still have to remove all that emotion and remember you got to make it home. You can fight them in the court. So we ain't gonna have that fight on the scene or whatever this traffic stop, whatever this institute. You ain't gonna get no understanding from them because if you already have not done anything and they're still dealing with you egregiously, then they had it made up in their mind that they were gonna deal with you egregiously no matter what you say, no matter what you do. So you could just say, you know, I plead the fifth.
But is that in your eyes? Because I know is that sometimes you think is being heard, right?
So sometimes you just get lucky. As a matter of
your
fact,
kids that you mentor, that you talk to, that you speak to, is it really being heard, or is it to a point where we're dealing with a new generation? We're dealing with a new age of protesters today.
We definitely are.
Well, it's interesting because people take
for me,
superhero
kind of hard
movies
to
seriously.
kind of
Now
dig deep and tell
superhero
somebody,
movies
tell
are
a kid
films
today
that happen to be about
this is what you got
superheroes.
to look at. This is what you got to learn. This is what you should know. When
for the longest time, superhero
my
movies were
son,
bullshit.
he's 13,
The
right?
TV
And
shows
he done
were kind
seen,
of clunky.
he done witnessed
They were campy.
maybe 6, 7.
It was
police
Batman
killings,
with the
right?
silly
Of a black
pants
man.
on and
In 13
Robin.
years.
I bought it.
My
Everything
first
was
13
bang,
years,
boom,
I saw
bang.
a
Remember
different
you
type
see
of
the
killing.
big
Right? I ain't
Absolutely.
seen police killing.
And
I
yet,
saw a different type of killing. So it was just like we're dealing with a new,
So there was
different
always
breed
a
of
seed
protesters who don't know consequences, who don't give a damn about consequences, who's ready to go by any means necessary. So I say that to say, what is that message to our youth today? Not just the kids. What is the message to the youth?
Right.
Well, first off, like from the first question, when you
that's
said
right.
what
He's
do I
gonna do
tell
that
them,
right
do they listen, and is it, you know, are they
How many
receiving?
Spider-Man movies have there? That's the most, right?
I think it's hit or miss, and the reason it's hit or miss because there are no right answers. There's nothing that they can do to guarantee they will not be killed. There's nothing I can tell them, like, okay,
Counting
for
the
sure, without faith.
Oh, you're right.
You do it like this,
Yeah.
you'll stay alive. I don't have that answer, right? So for that reason, it's hit or miss. They kind of, they hear and don't hear. Okay, yeah, we'll try that, leave it. That shit don't work.
And again, his whole thing was, what's my answer?
You know what I mean? I think that's kind of how it's received, understandably so. But I think the main message that I have to
How does that work? Like when you're on the set. But that seems like one of the weirdest.
We may not
parts about
always
acting in
understand.
some of those Avenger films.
We are all
How
on the
much
same
of it is
side,
actually
and it's gonna take
You just
a lot of what you got and a little bit of what we got mixed in together.
I'll digress. They did a movie with Richard Linklater called Scanner Darkly.
And it's a dastardly machine, clandestine intentions. And I don't think that
Woody and
my way alone gonna work. I don't think your way alone
we
gonna
would shoot
work.
these scenes, and he would say,
I don't think
"Oh,
their
you
way
can just leave
But together, collectively, we can find a way to kind of play each card when it's time.
Is a great metaphor.
I think that's how you move forward with the appropriate amount of force, effort, energy, and purpose.
I agree with that.
It was off camera, but everything else was great. Oh, we'll just move your arm later.
Even though everybody's out there doing what we're doing,
So you never want to rest on your laurels, they say. But after a certain while, it's like,
I don't think people understand when they question why people are protesting today. I don't think they understand that this country was built on protests at the end of the day. Right? We protested to have this country to be what it is today, to where it's at. And the people that's in power is abusing them, right, at the end of the day. So for me, it's just
like, I'm stuck in this fucking thing.
I don't like.
So everybody got to join in on the joys and the miseries of.
We can't tell people to stop at this very moment. We got to do it in a very sensitive way. We got to be careful of what we say and the words that we choose.
Literally just making
we the influence in our community, which is the black community. So, and it's a race thing, but if you see Asians, you see blacks, you see whites, you see a lot of people out there
tracking
together.
with this package.
It's not a race war.
Like, let me just at least tie like a little sarong around my, come on, guys, or whatever, And so I think Mark went about as far out into the ionosphere
religions,
of
our orientations, all lining up
Get the
to
whole
fight
smart
good
cult
fight
thing.
against
Get how they figured that out. It wasn't really.
like that. And I think that's
Hulk is
destiny.
supposed
It's
to be Hulk.
ordained to be this way.
Right.
I was with my partner Usher,
One you can control.
and he told me, he said, man, he had a conversation with his
One is the
grandma.
beast.
But
And
after so
immediately
many times, and again, this is the
I
genius of break and
But
shit stories.
and I don't think people understand like how important it is to have those generations that have seen so much throughout the years and can offer you insight.
And then, what corner have we painted ourselves by having him meet himself in the middle?
He
Because
said
then
that
you
she
can't,
told him
if that doesn't work, you can't go back to
this
the way
is
it
the
was
spirit
done. Or you
of
can go
David.
back to
As in David and Goliath.
the real genius of
You know what I'm saying? Like, if we show up with enough faith, if we show up with that
Avengers
fear,
Infinity War and Endgames, they go,
then I
love,
believe that
right,
the
yourself.
universe and the prophecies
Then
will do everything that we can't do.
all of those, how do we
You dig
get
what I'm saying? It ain't all on us. It ain't all on us. You know what I'm saying? All we got to do is
When
what's
you
human.
guys sit
And I
down when you
believe
first
that,
receive the
the
script,
divine order
do they consult with you? Do they discuss this with you? Do they just lay it out and say this is the character arc? How do you feel about this? What do you think?
a higher power.
Yeah, but it's changed over time. I think if you're one of the folks who has their standalone movies,
Do you think any of that is being
Black
thought
Widow
of
coming out, I
as,
think you take
say, we as a community
a bit of a
are
different
going out there protesting? Do you think we're thinking
tack
about
in
religion? Do you think
how
we're
much
thinking
meaning.
about,
I think the
you know what I mean?
phrase,
Like,
the legal
I don't
phrase
see
for
people
actors
like,
and studios is meaningful consultation, not script approval, because then anybody could hold a studio hostage because I don't approve of this $30 million that you're trying to spend. So your schedule is fucked up.
When you say I don't approve, I picture a bathrobe and I picture fine china and teacups. That's what I picture. I don't approve. And then just storming off.
I've had my moments too because I'm so passionate about story. But again, after more seat time with the same people and new people coming in and getting a pretty brutal education on what kind of process these movies require, you just start trusting more that they're thinking on your behalf. And also, little things are easy to change. Big things become a inconvenience to the higher good. And at what point do you want to pull the air brake on something where the train's, already leaving the station?
Well, I would imagine it would be a fine line that they want the actor to be comfortable with the character, and they want maybe some feedback would be beneficial. But they have a path, a vision that they've created.
Yeah.
And they would like to see you somehow or another at least morph slightly to get on this path.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, after I had my second round of kids with Susan, I became both artistically, I had a bit of a renaissance when I was doing the third Iron Man, And then after that, too, I was like, well, now I'm going to do this Avengers, and there's so many moving parts, and it's so difficult just to get all these schedules to coincide and get everyone together that I'm not going to be like, I'm not feeling it. So, again, it's that thing. It's sometimes, what do they say, faster alone, further together? Sometimes you can only think about further because you got to get downfield. Other times, you're thinking, hey, this is my moment to run, and I need a little help and a little approval, and I need a little leeway. But that's any creative endeavor.
I would imagine when you're involved in something that's so epic, when it's actually over, it probably almost seems surreal because the production is so massive. There's so many moving pieces. There's so many special effects, so many things that you have to sort of visualize while you're doing it. And then after it's all over, you're done. And what is a big Avengers movie? How many months are you involved in this?
Well, I mean, it could be some part of 18 months to 2 years, depending on how far out you are, and then 4 to 6 months of principal photography, and then additional photography, and then post, and then I always include promotion.
You're done.
From soup to nuts, I think is the phrase.
Soup to nuts?
Well, I mean, that's a Joel Silver phrase. One of my great friends, and probably one of the greatest big movie producers of all time. He did the Sherlocks with him. He did the Matrix series. My missus was running his company for 10 years. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is, I think, in some ways the best film I've ever done, wound up being a calling card. It came out and it bombed, but Jon Favreau saw it, and he said this guy could do an action movie. And so that wound up being my calling card into the Marvel universe. But to answer the question, it can be anticlimactic like anything. I mean, this is surreal. You know, I've maybe seen you around a little bit, but I feel like I know you because I see you all the time, and I listen to you, and I'm a martial arts nut. And yeah, isn't it? Sometimes when you get outside of the fortunate, interesting, creative experience you're having, you kind of like, it's very dreamlike.
Yeah. Yeah, my whole life's a dream. Yeah.
Except for the ramifications. The ramifications.
Those are real. When those come back and bite you in the ass, you're like, yikes, this isn't a fucking dream at all. This is dangerous. Yeah, I remember the first time I met Phil Hartman. I was stunned that I was actually like sitting, we were at a table read. I was sitting across from him. Yeah, I'm like, how the fuck, you're a famous guy. Like, you're a really famous guy. Like, I've seen you in movies, man.
Yeah.
I've seen you on television. Here you are, right there. How weird. You know, and it seems it's very hard to be normal, and then after a while that becomes normal, and then the fact that it becomes normal becomes surreal, and then it really feels like a dream. Like when I meet people like you, like we've just met an hour or so ago, and yet instantly I feel like I know you. Yeah, it's very strange. But you're not full of shit. You know, when someone's not full of shit, it's pretty easy to get to know them. You say something, I say something back, go, oh, I know how he works. I see what's going on in there. This is an actual human. Here we go. We're talking.
There's a good litmus, too, because you watch your show pretty quick. And I just love it, too, because in your show, you start, it's a rolling start with you every time. You come into the show and you're already kind of thinking about stuff. So it feels very organic. And part of me even this morning was like, I hope he looks into my eyes and doesn't see a complete and utter foolish fraud. Because I would probably believe him if he mirrored that back to me.
Oh, no, that's a danger, right? Yeah, if you respect someone and they think you're a fucking idiot, you're like, oh, no. I might really be a fucking idiot.
But there's been times when, in just being myself, someone who I respect has looked at me and said, "What are we talking about?
Yeah,
what are you even saying?"
Sure.
And you remember that because it kind of, it stiff arms you.
But part of those are good because you realize, well, you're probably off on a fucking stupid tangent, and that's part of being a person. You know, part of being a person is like, I don't know what the next word out of my mouth is going to be right now. No one ever does. Unless you do, and if you do, it's kind of weird.
Some people are poker players. I respect some people that are that, because there's an ability to, maybe it's fear-based, but I always appreciate people who, you know, those people like their icons or big shots, or that they hold a certain esteem, and all of their texts are very simple. It's like, yes, we should fix that.
Sure. Yeah, sure is my favorite.
Sure. Okay. On it.
Yeah. No periods either. Like, you don't have time to make a period.
Beats the all caps text.
Yeah. Oh, I don't like those at all. Those people are weird. Although C.T. Fletcher, he sends me all the text. I love him. But he's shouting at everything. Everything is a shout.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, the surreal part is, I think part of the reason, not just in life, but also, you know, getting to do what I do, is I'm a fan. I love movies. I love creativity. I love music. I love culture. And the fact that I actually have a place in it while I'm observing it and digging it is like, it's not just in... It's an honor.
Well, that's a beautiful perspective, and that shows in how you carry yourself, and it shows in the work that you do appreciate it. You know, one of the saddest things is someone who's in an amazing position who doesn't appreciate it. And that drives other people crazy too. Like, prima donnas drive people crazy for a variety of reasons, but one of the big ones is you don't appreciate how fortunate you are. Like, and people love when people appreciate good fortune and appreciate a well-earned position and are, you know, engrossed in a beautiful life of something that they really enjoy and something that really inspires them.
Well, I need to be kept right-sized, because I can easily fall into self-seeking and depression and self-pity and judgment and all that stuff. It's kind of it's a bit of a default, but I spend enough energy and I've had enough help over enough years to actually just say, oh, that's just awful, destructive behavior. You're entertaining in your head, you know.
Bad patterns, just bad thought patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could all fall into those. I'm ruthlessly self-critical, and for me sometimes it's very hard to step outside and just take a pause and recognize that not everything's going to be right the first time you try it. I think that a lot of people that are really great at things, it's one of the things about them is that they're not very satisfied with their work. Like, they're always looking to improve it. They're always looking for it to be better, and then that can start that cycle in their head of self-loathing and anxiety and anger at their performance or their work or whatever it is. And then that can lead to depression. That can lead to just self-hate.
Yeah. And what are your tolerances? Like, I'll be the first to tell you, like, you know, do certain movies, or when we were doing Tropic Thunder, or one of the first, you know, Iron Man movies, I was like, I'd go over to the monitor, I'd be like, play that back again. That was so good. Dude, let me see that again. I need confirmation.
Yeah.
Because it's always a miracle. You stayed in frame. You got the line right. Your eye line was right. The lighting was right. The sensibility was right. And you just look at it and you go, oh. You know, it's like, I don't know, for me, it's like the playback of the perfect Superman punch KO, and you just go, show me that again.
Yeah.
Let me see that again. Or when we were shooting Tropic Thunder, I had a little teaser clip for Iron Man, but it wasn't coming out until the next year, and we were going to go to Comic-Con, so I got to see it and show it to people, and they're like, oh, I don't know, that movie's going to do pretty good. And then when we went to Comic-Con, we saw it, but it used to be like that with music too. Like, I write music, I haven't for some time, but you would write something and then you just listen to it on the loop because you go, wow, that's not, I know that I was here and I did that, but it feels kind of inspired, and you want to get all that stuff. But yeah, self-critical is important as long as it doesn't bleed out into, and over the edges and just make everyone miserable.
Right. Again, get out of your own way. Again, I mean, that's one of the many tenets of life. Learn how to get out of your own way with everything, including with creative endeavors. It seems like that thing that you said about music, most people who write things or create things say that it's they know they're doing it. Like if you make a great sculpture, you know you're doing it. But where is it coming from? Like what is the idea that manifests itself into this perfect thing that you can step back and look at, and it seems surreal. How did I create that? Did I? I don't know if I did. I mean, I definitely made my fingers move, but I don't know if that's me. Who wrote that music? Who performed it? I know you did, but there's a thing inside you that sort of like tunes in to this energy of ideas, and then it comes through you. And again, you kind of have to get out of your own way while you're writing something. And then when it comes out, it's a weird feeling. It's not like if you hammer a nail into a board, you fucking are very aware you did that. You're very aware. But there's something about the creative process that's you're not totally there. It's weird. And then it comes through you.
Because it is you and it isn't you.
Right.
What does you even mean? I love it. You always hear it too in sports. It's like, how'd it go today, Federer? Oh, I was out of my mind. I was not in my mind. It was a beautiful day, and I think you saw the results.
Yeah. Sure.
Fluid, effortless, because it is you and it isn't.
Well, fighters talk about that all the time, that like especially a counter shot. Like they land something and they don't even have any idea they're going to do it, and they did it, and then it caused the knockout. It's their training manifests itself in this one special, beautiful moment where bang, this thing happens, and then they see the guy drop and they're like, holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
And then they walk away, and it's the work. There's so many things involved, right? There's so many moving pieces. You have to be working on your own mind to learn how to get out of your own way. You also have to be like really engrossed in whatever the activity is that you're doing, like obsessed, in love with it, passionate about it. And then you have to have the discipline to show up and actually do the work. There's so many different moving pieces, and it all has to be managed, and it's not solid. It's like a fucking raft on the ocean. It's moving around. You're always trying to like figure out how to keep it moving and functional. And it always seems unmanageable. And after it's over, you're like, ugh, how the fuck did that even work?
Yeah, we call it the fader board.
Ah,
It's that weird thing,
right.
How do you get it all? And honestly, particularly in the last 15 years, when I started really taking martial arts seriously, half the stuff that I've been able to do right in my creative life are principles that I learned on the mat with my seafood.
Yeah, we call it the fader board.
Guard your center. Keep your eye on the lead.
Honestly, particularly in the last
Get to the
15
blind
years,
side.
when I started really taking martial arts.
How often do you do that?
Half the
I
stuff
started,
that I've been able to do right in my
I think I'm in the 15th or 16th year. Sifu was over the day before yesterday. So, a bunch of times a week. And if I'm working on something, or if he can make it the location, we'll have long stretches where we're doing it every day. And there's gradings. So you got to prep for those, It's,
So what are you doing? Are you doing kung fu? Like, is it a very particular style?
traditional Wing Chun. Kung
Really?
Fu, yeah. Which is,
Very underrated art form.
yes, also so many trade secrets and so different than how I see it when I'm looking at videos, in that in UFC, everything is out in the open and it's discussed, and you see in a lot of the Eastern stuff, there was turf wars, and we're not really going to show them our footwork. We're not going to do this. But anyway, it's been a real deep dive with my Sifu Eric Oram, who's Sifu my Sigung, is Grandmaster William Chung. In UFC, renowned kind of Hong Kong rooftop fights, all that stuff. Amazing lore, but very technical, difficult to build, and easy to use.
You very rarely see that in the UFC. One of the best fighters in the UFC uses it regularly. Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson uses trapping hands.
The Mukjang.
Yeah. He grabs wrists and comes over the top with elbows. He does straight Wing Chun. He does it all the time. And he even practices on a wooden dummy.
I got my ass kicked by a wooden dummy for about 3 years, and then I finally understood the principle of don't fight force with force.
Uses trapping hands.
And the mook jump.
Yeah.
It's just nuts. So anyway, half the time,
he does straight Wing Chun. He does it all
if
day
I
long.
would be in
He
a
even practices on a
critical
wooden dummy.
artistic situation, I would just say, because Wing Chun problems are life problems are Wing Chun problems, and I would just go back to how did this kind of relate to, because I don't like getting clocked and getting my teeth knocked in, because we tend to, sometimes we glove up, but we're not wearing mouthpieces. It's very,
Why are you wearing a mouthpiece?
it's certainly not, because he's very good at pulling his punches, and he's also even better at making sure that I don't accidentally hit him. But we get as close as we can to what the real experience would be. But again, it's like everything. I'm sure, a few clicks back down the road, there's things that instructors were doing that would be considered illegal to do to a group of students nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Not just a few clicks while I was coming up.
that's what I would imagine.
Yeah. Oh, they'd hit each other.
Yes.
The students would get beat up.
But again,
it was a normal thing.
Yes.
Did you start training for Sherlock Holmes, or you started training before that?
I didn't. It absolutely coincided with my recovery, and the two things just somehow or other seemed to lock in. And talk to you off the record and afterwards about any and everything to do with my recovery. As far as it locked in with this, it was an apprenticeship, and it was an apprenticeship that was contingent on me being in a certain headspace.
Well, it's a good thing too, because it's a very addictive thing. People get very addicted to martial arts, and it's a good substitute for sometimes negative addictions. Bourdain, before he died, he was obsessed with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, became really obsessed with it at 58, and got really good. He was training every day. And he was trained twice a day every day. So he went from, when I first met him, he was chubby, he was smoking cigarettes, he drank every night, still drank every night. But, he just did enough healthy things to keep his body together. And then his ex-wife got really into jiu-jitsu, and then he decided to follow her one day to classes, and he was kind of mocking it and laughing at it at first, and then became obsessed, and then really got good. I mean, he was look at, he won in a tournament, and I mean, oh my god, yeah, he's fucking 60 years old there. What's really crazy is a picture of him walking down the street I think they were in Rome, and he has no shirt on, and he's fucking ripped. Anthony Bourdain, full six-pack. Yeah, dude, he was obsessed. He would take a private every day. Look at him. Look at that photo. That's crazy. He's like 60-something years old there. So he would take a private lesson every day, and then he would take a class. So he would take a private lesson, sharpen up techniques, and then he would roll. He'd take group classes, too, which is very, very critical. You got to roll with different people.
100%.
Yeah, so he was in there, and it became a good thing for him to sort of become addicted to this positive thing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it wasn't going to be golf. It wasn't going to be something passive like that, even though I hear it's great. But it's been, it's just been a great gift. And it's also the thing where, you're never done. I made black belt 5 years ago, going for another grading, and we're doing a lot of weapon stuff. And
sort of become addicted to this.
That's
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean,
my Taekwondo teacher said something to me when I was very young. He said that it is a tool for developing your human potential. Yeah, and I never forgot that, because I'm like, yeah, it's because it's really difficult to do. Like, all martial arts it's really difficult to get your body to move that way and to be able to be effective in a conflict situation. And if you can do it, you can do it over and over again, and you can overcome that difficult thing, and you thought it was unsurmountable, and then you figured out how to do it, eventually you get to this point where you realize, well, everything in life is like that. Everything in life is like something that's a puzzle. You have to figure out how am I approaching it wrong? What can I do to make it better? How do I get more competent at this particular skill or this particular discipline?
And just the humility too. I mean, if I've noticed anything in the last couple of years, just in UFC, which, by the way, I was doing a Robert Altman film called The Gingerbread Man back in the 90s, and UFC had just started off, and I was getting the VHS tapes and watching them.
more complicated.
And so when they go back on the 25 years ago, I was like, I've been there from jump.
That's awesome.
But we watch. It's just that thing of no matter what you think. I was doing a Robert Altman film called The Gingerbread. The tides are changing quickly, and you just got to keep working.
Well, that was a real wake-up call for a lot of martial artists, was the UFC, because a lot of the stuff that they were doing really wasn't effective. They thought it would be if everybody was playing by the rules in the dojo and sort of following along the... But once you really saw an actual caged event where people were just going balls out, you realize, oh, a lot of this stuff just doesn't work. Well, that was a real...
And I love how messy it was at the beginning too, because the style matchups were so they was almost
crazy,
laughable until you saw the violence.
And no weight classes. You and I share another passion, resto mods. But once you really yes, you have was it a 1970 Mustang?
Yeah, I got that 302. I did with Speedcore, a couple other ones.
Speedcore does amazing stuff.
They're great.
Yeah, and when I saw that they were doing your car, I go, oh, this is going to be good. You picked a unique color, too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the only... Oh,
look at that thing.
Yeah, that's back east right now. That's a good car for straightaways. That's a nice Long Island car.
I got that 302. I did with Speedcore. Yeah, it's beautiful. But the beautiful thing about something like Speedcore is they're going to take that car and make it so that it's manageable. You can actually drive it. If you drove a real 1970s stock car, it would be horrific.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how far we've come.
Yeah.
In those cars, it's like you're like blindfolded as you're driving. You're sort of aware of what the car is going to do as you turn the wheel, but not really.
No, to me it's like a crop duster without wings. Every time I start, I just you go, Jesus Christ, I got kids. I got kids. And also, since I threw my hat in the ring with this kind of green technology initiatives, I'm probably going to wind up auctioning them all off, to be honest.
Right.
You know, drove a BMW electric car here.
I saw.
I
started laughing when I saw it pulling in the park. I'm like, oh, okay. I get it. You got to do what you got to do. I have a Tesla.
And also, since I'll hold on to a few.
Yeah, you have to hold on to that one.
You got to.
What is this? That is a tarantula hawk that Maynard Keenan from Tool sent me from his farm in Arizona. It's we were talking about it on a podcast, and he's like, "Have you ever seen one?" I go, "No." And then a week later, one arrived in the mail.
Hold on, let me see what this says.
Yeah, you can't read. Yeah.
By the way, have I been too far off mic this whole time?
No, you're fine, man.
Okay,
we're good.
You could give me a sign.
Jamie's a master. He knows how to handle this. I know you have a lot of other shit to do, so I'm gonna let you get out of here. But I just want to say it's an honor to meet you. A real pleasure to sit down and talk to you. Appreciate you taking your time, and best of luck with everything.
Just flew by, pal.
Yeah.
I'll be back. Trust me.
Okay.
By the way, have I been too far off
mic
this
you come
whole
back.
time?
Bye, everybody.
Okay. We're good. You could give me a sign. You know what I wanted to get to? There's a guy named Bran Fair. Have you heard of him? Just flew by, pal.
Yeah.
I'll be back. Trust me.
Okay.
By the way, have I been too far off mic this whole time?
Bye, everybody.
Okay. You could give me a sign. You know what I wanted to get to? There's a guy named Bran Fair. Have you heard of him?
3, 2, and boom. That's a nice hat. I've told you already, but live, I got to tell you, that is a nice. It's very kind of Indiana Jones, but
it's not quite that, and not quite
little,
cowboy. Yeah,
but it's you're like in the middle of that.
Yeah.
You're riding a wave. You're dancing on the edge.
Well, I have a really fat head, and so there's this website called bigheads.com.
There's a website
yes,
for it?
a total website for fat-headed people. I gotta get my friend
Bert Kreischer a hat then. I put his hat on. I couldn't believe how big his head was. There was like an inch gap all around my head. I thought I had a big head.
Yeah. So if you know your head size, do you know your head size?
No, I do not.
So it turns out if you know your head size, that number comes from somewhere. Can I tell you what it is?
Sure.
So if you measure the circumference of your head, just get a tape measure, like you measure your waistline, but do it around your head, and take that number, divide it by pi, then that's your hat size.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It seems complicated.
Divide by 2?
Why can't it be just like your waist, 32? You know, your waist is what your waist is.
I know. It just is what it is, right? Just why can't it just be the circumference, right? So what it turns out to be, so what that means is, if you're dividing by pi, you're getting the diameter of the circle that has the same dimension as the circumference of your head. So if you have an oblong head, then what it's doing is finding out what the circle is, the diameter of the circle that has that same circumference as your head.
Oh, okay.
That's what that's doing. Whether that helps the hat maker.
So immediately I start thinking about Dan Aykroyd on Saturday Night Live as a cone head.
Oh,
right? Remember?
Well, then you need a tall hat for that too.
You got it.
Yeah. So, dude, you're still doing stand-up? That's great.
Constantly.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
And I caught you a few months ago. You were emceeing some MMA, was it? What was it?
Well, I'm always doing that, yeah.
Oh, you're always doing that. I
yeah.
only catch some of it then.
Well, I'm
I
the
think it's
color...
great you stayed in shape, because I'm a fat slob right now.
Well, you were ripped back in the day,
In the
man.
day.
I saw a picture of you when you were wrestling. And I was like, damn, Neil, you look good.
I had some street cred back then.
Do you exercise at all now?
No, it's not that I don't have the energy to. It's trying to find the time.
There's you back in the day. Look at you, shredded. How much did you weigh back then?
Oh,
Let me guess.
go on.
176.
No. I'm 6'2", so I'm 190 pounds in that.
Oh,
Exactly 100. I have big thighs and stuff. Other wrestlers would have skinnier thighs and things. So I was also taller than anyone I wrestled. So since we're the same height, it meant they had bigger muscles, actually. So because we're the same weight, right? But no, did I say that right? I'm taller,
Right.
but we're the same weight. So that means they have bigger muscles,
Right.
Because none of us have fat, right? So I had to do things that my lankiness would enable me to do and to accomplish that they couldn't. So I have long reach, this sort of. I scoop an ankle, that kind of thing.
There's great advantages to having long limbs in martial arts, particularly in wrestling, grappling, because of leverage.
Yeah, also if you're quick and with long limbs, and I was both. But if they got me in their grip, it was hard for me to get out.
So, what kind of exercise do you do these days?
No, that's no.
Nothing.
No, I'm trying. I'm trying. When I'm in, I'm good. But I've just got so much going on.
Yeah.
And you have to make the time.
That's a problem, right? When you become a little bit too successful for your own good.
I saw some food. There's a lot of food documentaries, trying to get you to eat differently. So I thought I'd watch them all. I binged on them one weekend while I was doing other stuff, and I
got hungry.
No, one of the guys, he was trying to lose 100 pounds or something. So every 15 pounds he lost, he put a bowling ball up on the counter and said, "That is what I'm not carrying around with me."
Whoa.
The bowling ball is about 15 pounds. I said, "Wow, he's measuring weight in bowling balls. That's something." Because we say, "Oh, I'm 3 pounds less and 2 pounds." That doesn't hit you emotionally the way a bowling ball does.
Yeah.
After you've lost 15 pounds, because no one wants to be carrying that around. So psychologically, I thought that was quite potent.
That is potent. I think we do need. So I usually use plates. I think of weight plates or dumbbells.
Okay, yeah, that works too. Yeah.
I started doing intermittent fasting pretty recently, where I only allow myself to eat 10 hours in a day.
Oh wow,
That's
10
it.
hours out of the 24-hour
Yes.
day.
So 14.
I had Terry Crews on my radio show on Star Talk. My boy's ripped. Okay,
Yeah, he looks great.
He's still, and he's like 47 or something. I mean, he's so he doesn't eat until 12 noon. And then he doesn't eat till after 10 o'clock. That's right.
Yeah, 10
And
hours.
then he doesn't eat after 10. Right.
Yeah.
It's a 10-hour thing. And so he's watching everyone else have brunch and breakfast, and so he's got to overcome that. But so it's a little bit of fasting each day.
Intermittent fasting.
Just to keep the discipline. I think it's at the end of the day, it's really just discipline.
Well, it's not just that. It also forces your body to burn fat instead of carbohydrates. And when it forces your body to burn fat, that state of ketosis is actually easier to maintain because you don't get hungry.
Yeah, then there's no roller coaster.
The crash, the carbohydrate crash that you get.
Right.
Is that outside of the realm of possibility for you?
No, I can totally. I'm a ketosis guy.
Anything involving science? Come on, I mean, it's in there, baby. It's in there.
I once got raked over the coals, not by everyone, but I tweeted once. I said, if there was a diet book written by a physicist, it would contain one sentence. Consume calories at a lesser rate than, at a greater rate, consume calories at a lesser rate than you burn them.
That is sort of true.
that's the one sentence diet book. No, it's more complicated than that. And everybody just try to get all. No, it's this, is that, and that. And one of the great things of physics, when you do physics, is all the details are just cut off. It's window dressing, and you get down to the window itself, and that's what the analysis works on.
I have rarely seen you attacked, but I did see you attacked when you were celebrating Sir Isaac Newton's birthday.
Oh,
I was like, that people were so mad.
people lost their mind.
They lost their mind when you were, by the way, incorrect in the date of Jesus' birthday. That is not the date of Jesus' birthday.
Jesus was not born on the 25th. Right.
No, I mean, it's
Right.
just...
Plus, I didn't even mention it. So what I said was, by the way, that to this day is my highest retweeted tweet.
I tweeted it. I retweeted it.
So you remember, it's actually a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
So it was, so on December 25th comes.
There it is.
Oh, you got
Child
good.
was
You
born
got
who
good.
by the age of 30 transformed the world. Happy birthday, Sir
So
Isaac
on this
Newton.
day long ago, a child was born who by age 30